I figured that it's not only time to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, but to talk about a film that was not only very influential, but the legacy that it left. So here we go. So Heat is a crime drama written and directed by Michael Mann, starring an ensemble cast, but within this cast we primarily follow two characters, one played by Al Pacino and the other one played by Robert De Niro. Heat starts off as a heist is going down orchestrated by Robert De Niro and his crew. However, during that said heist, one of Robert De Niro's crew members decides to go rogue, kill somebody, and as a result, the cops are tracking him down, and among those cops is Al Pacino. But before Robert De Niro can retire, he is putting on one more big score. Alrighty guys, so let's get into Heat.
Excellent!
Guys, I cannot tell you all how long I have wanted to make a video about this movie. Before I go on and gush about how much I love this masterpiece of a movie, let me tell a quick story about how I first saw and my first experience watching Heat. I actually didn't see Heat for the first time until literally 3 years ago. Please don't kill me. 2018, started the year in January, I want to say mid-January. I get hit with a very bad sinus infection. I mean, this was a bad sinus infection. And I watched two movies that day. The first movie that day was Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve, which I thought that film was great. But that night, after I had seen dinner, all the lights were off in my house, and I decided to watch Heat for the first time. I was told by many people, and I mean many people, of how great this movie is, of how influential it is to the crime genre, but the legacy it left behind from moment one into that final frame going into the ending credits. Heat blew me the fuck away on every level possible. There are no single words, in all honesty, that can describe my adoration, if this is the right term, for Heat. This is a movie that you can clearly see by watching it how it not only changed the game for crime films, this is essentially a trailblazer for crime movies to come. Christopher fucking Nolan himself said that Heat inspired him for how he portrayed Gotham City. Everybody in this movie crushes it. I mean, from the smaller performances from Hank Azaria, Ashley Judd, Natalie Portman makes a small performance or small appearance, and if I remember correctly, I think this is Natalie Portman's second film role. I mean, think about that. Going from Leon the Professional, or just Leon, to Heat. My God, what a great start to a career. Val Kilmer in this movie is great, William Fichtner is great, Jon Voight is great, but obviously, Heat is the show of Al Pacino and Robert fucking De Niro. These two in this movie are such powerhouses. I love how much in contrast these two are one another. Robert De Niro plays a character that looks like he has it under control, but man, when something goes wrong, oh man, he has that look in his eyes of, you're going down, motherfucker. There are two particular scenes from Robert De Niro in this movie that I absolutely love. One scene in particular where after a deal goes wrong involving William Fichtner's character, Robert De Niro is calling William Fichtner's office using a restaurant's telephone. Robert De Niro says this, and I'm pretty sure I'm paraphrasing. You know what I'm talking to? I'm talking to an empty telephone right now. There's another scene that I absolutely love, and it's a scene that actually has a shot that's not even in film. It's actually in a different filter. It's a scene where Al Pacino is doing a stakeout with his fellow officers. He is very closely watching Val Kilmer and Robert De Niro, and basically in them trying to plan their big old heist. Not big old heist, but big heist. But there is a moment that legitimately makes me think, oh shit. Al Pacino and his crew are just silently watching and staking out. One of the officers sits down with his assault rifle, and his assault rifle makes a sudden bang against this container. This next shot, or no, these next sequences of shots, I say, the tension here is unbelievable. Al Pacino is looking into this monitor, and Robert De Niro, you can tell, is looking right at this camera that's positioned at him. At first, you do see Robert De Niro's face, and it may look intimidating, but in the next shot, you see a filter. Essentially, it's like a thermal filter, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. This shot, honest to God, I just thought, oh shit. Going on to Al Pacino. Al Pacino in this movie. Now, Robert De Niro gives one of his best performances. The same thing can be said about Al Pacino. Al Pacino plays a guy in this movie that has gone through so much stuff in his career as a police officer. You can clearly tell this. There's a sequence in this movie where Al Pacino meets up with his wife once more. She is asking him what happened. And is like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, you're not being on with me. And Al Pacino is like, oh, okay. Would you rather me hear that I saw this person doing this or I saw this dead body of somebody? Yeah, of course. Now are we open all of a sudden? This is one of the quieter moments with Al Pacino in it. And of course, the one famous sequence we'll talk about in a little bit. In this movie, Al Pacino has two particular scenes that always just make me laugh. The sequence where he goes, give me all you got! 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 This next scene, I love his acting here. And it's hilarious and it's perfect. Roll that clip.
Man, why'd I get mixed up with that bitch?
Because she got a great ass! And you got your head all the way up it!
You guys want to hear a fun fact? That line was improvised. Besides talking about those awesome outbursts, which Al Pacino is known for, not just in this movie, but his entire career, you can tell that he is almost not really obsessed with Robert De Niro's character in this movie, but in a way, one thing I absolutely love about his character is that he has a kind of utmost respect for his character in a certain way, for Robert De Niro's character. There is a sequence in this movie that perfectly demonstrates that. Al Pacino and his crew are watching over Robert De Niro's crew, and they think they know what Robert De Niro's crew is doing. However, they get down there and they notice, what's going on here? The revelation in the sequence when Al Pacino realizes what's really going on, fucking brilliant. Al Pacino knows exactly what's going on because he asks his crew, what are they looking at? You want to know what they're looking at? Us. It's at this point in the movie where Al Pacino is like, you clever sons of bitches. They got us. These guys are fucking good. Besides the biggest action sequence in this movie and one of my favorite action sequences of all time, there is honestly one particular reason why I absolutely love Heat, and it can honestly be digested down into one particular sentence. This movie is a character-driven cops and robbers. This is a movie that would rather take its time developing and looking at the lives of the characters within it, rather than doing set piece after set piece with heist after heist after heist, seeing how doing this heist, doing their jobs, is impacting their personal lives. I have always loved Michael Mann's deep dive into the lives of the cops and robbers, showing you what exactly is going on besides them doing what they do in this movie. The scene that everybody talks about besides the big action sequence is the infamous sequence where Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are sitting face to face at that diner. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Michael Mann did this scene without any rehearsals. This sequence keeps me on the edge of my toes. Seeing these guys speak with one another about how things are going to go down and how they essentially have respect for one another. But once they meet up, they're not going to have any hesitation about pulling that trigger and taking either one of them down. You want to talk about a scene that's one of the greatest conversations ever filmed, at least in my eyes. This is the only scene that they share any dialogue together with. My eyeballs, these things are glued to that damn screen every time I see it. Dante Spinotti, I believe that's how I pronounce his name, his cinematography is absolutely incredible. His use of blues, magenta, and sometimes also in a way purples and grays at times. How he utilizes his wides, his close-ups, his establishing, and his master shots in this movie. There is always a couple of shots particularly I cannot believe that they pulled off in this movie. Going on to the music, oh my god, the music for Heat. Elliot Goldenthal's score for Heat is just absolutely amazing. His use of synthesizers and sometimes of his use in guitars. Elliot Goldenthal's score for Heat might just be one of the best musical scores I've ever heard. One thing that I must talk about is Michael Mann's use of sound. Not just in this movie, but in his other films. If you have followed Michael Mann in his career, you will all know that Michael Mann uses amazing sound in his films. Every time I hear the sound of this movie in particular from the gunshots. I just think, how the fuck did Michael Mann pull all this off, especially with the sound team? The editing in this movie is just, the pacing is just perfect. This is a movie, do not get me wrong, it does take its time, but there is a reason as to why. It's a movie that wants to invest your time into both these characters and both sides, showing you, hey, this guy has motivation as to why he is doing his thing, and this guy has motivation as to why he is doing his thing. Heat is nearly 3 hours. It's about 2 hours and 50 minutes, maybe like 2 hours and 52 minutes. There is not a single scene from this movie that I would cut out. Nada. There is always one edit in this movie that has always made me go like, oh, here we go. If there is another big reason why I love this film, it's that scene. The bank robbery scene. How the sequence builds up from how Al Pacino and his crew figure out what's going on while in the middle of Robert De Niro's heist, hearing the music by Elliot Goldenthal, seeing the cinematography, Michael Mann's direction, how it builds up. When Al Pacino and his men are just trying to stealthily come across and intercept them while they're doing their thing, there is a shot in the sequence that I absolutely love, and it's not really quick. Going back to the editing, this isn't the shot that I'm talking about. There's a specific shot I absolutely love. The shot of Val Kilmer walking towards that car. He has a smile on his face, but the moment he sees Al Pacino's character, he goes from a smile and he goes game face time, and he starts shooting literally within a split second. The bank robbery sequence in Heat combines, at least in my eyes, all the best aspects in a Michael Mann film. His directing, the writing, the editing, the cinematography, the sound. Oh my god, the sound in the scene. I want to bring up the cinematography again for one reason. This sequence in particular, there are two shots that I absolutely love. Remember that one shot I mentioned, how I think, oh god. It is a shot facing Robert De Niro when they're trying to get away. And he just knows that, you know what? I'm probably gonna die. Let's go. There has always been one shot that has always blown me away. And in my eyes, it is some of the best steady cam work I've ever seen. This is a shot involving Val Kilmer. He rushes against a car, he's firing on everybody, and this simple movement that's about to happen always makes me go like, oh my god. Val Kilmer is firing on everybody. He's just trying to clear out as many cops as he possibly can. He runs out of ammo. He decks down, he reloads, and comes right back up. Starting off, the shot is following Val Kilmer. He's running to that one car when he's out of ammo, and one amazing movement. He crouches down, the camera follows, he reloads, he comes right back up. Every time I have seen that shot, it constantly blows me away. Here's some trivia for you guys when it comes to this movie. I don't know if this is still being used, but from what I read up, his reload is so realistic and very authentic that at that time, I don't know if they still do it, but Marine Corps actually showing this reload as a way to show Marine Corps, hey, this is how you do a fast tactical reload. This really is the best bank robbery sequence I've ever seen. From everything going on, how everything builds up, leading to the crescendo of everything going haywire, and then finally the ending of the sequence where Al Pacino saves this little kid's life. Everything about that robbery sequence is just fucking perfect in every way. And you would think that this movie has nothing else to offer after that. Oh no, because that final sequence where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are on that airstrip, I just love the way how everything just builds and builds up to that final kill at the end. I mean, just, this movie is just everything I can want in a crime film. It really is.
Well, that's just fucking great!
What flaws could I possibly have with this movie?
And here we go.
What can I say about Heat that hasn't already been said? There are easily many words I could use to describe how brilliant Heat is. But if I could use one word to describe Heat, Heat is a masterpiece. This movie is not only one of my favorite movies of all time, but this movie, just in general, I think it's one of the greatest films ever made. All in all, I am absolutely going to give Heat a 6 out of 5 stars. I mean, even if I was simply nitpicking or reaching, I couldn't find any issues with this movie. So comment down below and let me know, out of all of Michael Mann's films, which one is your favorite? I mean, obviously you should know mine. it's Heat. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat, so if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links in the usernames or description below. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Heat. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell whenever the latest video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click right there or there. And of course, until my next review or video, I will see you all next time.